So, I got a couple of things for you. And I was prepping, getting my, as I like to call it, my downloads. Blessings to you, my goddaughter, Wild Fury. So I was receiving my downloads and checking in with Spirit. What would be our theme for tonight, our guide or guidance or download. One thing came to me, a couple of things came to me, so it's not just one, it's a couple, so bear with me. One of it is, it's not what they did. I just want you to focus on that statement. I will elaborate on that as we go. It's not about what they did. It's not about what they did. I want you to really take that in. It's not about what they did. And for those of you on here right now, and those of you coming on right now, share this live. Let your friends and followers and family know that we are on. Tarot Tuesdays on, and we're here to share. We're here to commune with each other energetically and spiritually. We're here open to receive whatever guidance is supposed to be for us. Drop whatever doesn't apply and keep what you know applies to you. But let the people know we're on here tonight. That being said, it's not about what they did, Spirit says. I actually want you to write it in. Go ahead and write it in the chat. I want to make sure you're paying attention. It's not about what they did. It's not about what they did. It's not about what they did. Write it in the chat. It's not about what they did. No, it's not, Spirit says. It's not about what they did. Can anyone hear me? It's not about what they did. No, it ain't. You might think it is, but it's not. It's not about what they did. Are you all listening? Are you all listening? Let's open up our spirit, our heart, our spiritual ears, energetic ears, our spiritual heart, allowing the Most High, universe, spirit guides, guardian angel, and everything that walks with us be able to guide us in the path that we're supposed to be on. I want you to write it in the chat. It's not about what they did. It ain't about what they did. It never was, to be honest with you. The human aspect of us, the human part of us, is the one that allows us to believe that it's all about what that person did. It ain't about what they did, Spirit says. It ain't about what they did. Write it in the chat. It ain't about what they did. If you've been hanging too long, if you've been carrying the weight of what that person did, mom, dad, grandparents, significant other, ex-husband, ex-wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, family member, siblings, son, daughter, best friend, co-worker, boss, it ain't about what they did. Write it in the chat. It ain't about what they did. Blessings to you, my godson. It ain't about what they did. It's not. And before I share with you the second part to that statement, before I share with you the second part to that download, I want to also say that something has been up in the air lately for many people, where we feel, I wouldn't say we feel off. I feel that people are in their cocoon. They are in their retreat mode. They are in some aspect of isolation. They are in some aspect of introspection, of really allowing their introvertedness to come out. And it has a lot to do with getting yourself in order. It has a lot to do with reorganizing your thoughts. It has a lot to do with reevaluating what you might believe is important to you. It has more to do with you coming into that part of you that will assist you in really elevating, in really furthering your life, pushing forward your life, And when that happens, you have no choice but to retreat. You have no choice but to retreat so that you can gather yourself, so that you can balance yourself, so that you can determine and decide and ponder on whether or not you will continue on the same path, or you will continue with the same people, or you will continue to be exposed to the same situation. So if you've been feeling this lately, don't feel bad. Don't judge yourself. Don't force yourself to do it differently. Embrace it, accept it, surrender yourself to it, because it's only happening and it's only taking place with the sole intent of really showing you the path ahead with much more clarity, with much more awareness, and with a true sense of inner conviction that now we know where we're going. Now we know what we're supposed to do. Now we know who we will let in our circle. Now we know how is it that it's supposed to go down. So don't let anyone guilt you. Don't let anyone try to question you, in terms of, you've been isolated, or we were supposed to hang out for that birthday celebration last weekend, or whatever the situation might be. If you weren't in the mood, you weren't in the mood. Simple as that. Simple as that. Oftentimes it's when we go against what we truly feel when we actually fail. It's actually when we go against what we truly feel that we actually fail. So, going back to one of our themes, we have more than one of our downloads. It's saying it's not about what they did. If you're joining in now, if you're just arriving now, write it in the chat. It's not about what they did. It ain't about what they did. You thought it was. You thought it was about that person who betrayed you, who used you, who lied to you, who cheated on you, who prolonged something only to let you down at the end. You thought it was about that. It's not about what they did. Malaikum salam. Malaikum salam. It's not about what they did. You thought it was about the fact that your parent, mom or dad, or whoever the person that raised you, seems to never see your true gifts, seems to never acknowledge all that you've brought to the table, seems to never acknowledge your sacrifices, seems to never acknowledge your efforts, seems to never acknowledge how you've given up so much of yourself in order to accommodate them or other people. You thought it was about this husband of yours or this wife of yours that seems to never give you any credit for what you've been able to do, but only signal out the things that they believe you should be doing differently. You thought it was about the fact that you've been so hurt, so deeply traumatized by past events. You thought it was about that. You thought it was about that person that you decided to open your heart to after staying alone for such a long time, after, being celibate for such a long time, after that bad relationship that you had years ago, and as a result of that, you've never let anyone in. But now that you've decided to let this person in, you realize that you found out that it's still not a good match. It's still not a good fit, because this person is either emotionally unavailable, or this person is using you, or this person won't open up either, or this person is basically showing you a version of yourself, which is really what happens with a lot of people in our life that we are connected to. You thought it was about your job issues, right? You're trying to land that job, you're trying to land that opportunity, but because you had a fallout with your previous employer that seems to be very well connected in your community and has been bad-mouthing you to every other person, and you believe that you're not being hired at other desired places because of this person's opinion and how they are trying to sabotage you. You thought it was about the fact that you can't seem to forget your ex, regardless of what it is that you do, regardless of how many people you try to meet, regardless of how many individuals you try to open up to, regardless of how many people you try to connect to and give yourself an opportunity. You feel and you believe that you just can't seem to forget that ex of yours because oddly enough, you believe that that person, even though you're consciously, intellectually, intelligently aware that that person was just a motherfucker, that that person really did not have your best interest at heart, that that person just was a narcissistic SOB, that that person was just totally disassociated from reality, then yet you feel that he or she is the only person that truly knows you. Oh, but little do you know that it's not about that. It ain't about what they did. It ain't about the abandonment. It ain't about the abuse. It ain't about the trauma. It ain't about the betrayal. It ain't about being backstabbed. It ain't about being abandoned by someone that you've given your all to. It ain't about being betrayed by your own parent. Yes, those things actually do happen, believe it or not. It ain't about you trying to save people that don't want to be saved. It ain't about you trying to sacrifice yourself, become the sacrificial lamb over people in situations and places that won't ever do it for you. It ain't about the fact that you're still hurting over the death of that loved one. It ain't about the fact that no matter how hard you try, how many candles you light, how many prayers you do, how many intentions you set, how many vision boards you create, how many meditations you do, how many crystals you hold, how many spiritual baths you take, how many readings you have, you still can't find your way in this life. It ain't about what has provoked or prompted you to want to even consider or think of ending your life. It ain't about that. Does anyone follow me? Does anyone follow me? Am I speaking to anyone at this moment? Does anyone follow me? Because if it's just one person in here, if it's just one human being in here that this is making sense to, I'm happy. It ain't about the fact that you wake up every day feeling numb, not knowing what to do with yourself. It ain't about that you continuously fake that you're happy, that you're good, that everything is going great, that, everybody thinks that you have it all together, which is why they always come to you. They always come to you. They always come knocking on your door for answers, for support, for every little trauma and every little situation and every little downfall and every little break that they have. They come knocking on your door because you always come across as the person that has it all together. You always come across as the person that has all the answers. You always come across as the person that has no issues, no problems, no aches, no pain. And you have chosen to wear that suit quite well. And you've done it quite well. You've done it quite well. But then internally you're upset, and you're mad, and you're depressed, and you're anxious, and you're pissed off. The fact that no one cares to wonder, or at least they don't make the visible attempt, to ask you, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? Are you feeling good? Is there anything I can do to support you? Because since you always have all the answers, and you always are the one offering the answers as well. You always are the one jumping to want to fix things, even though no one invited you to fix anything. But it ain't about that. It ain't about that. It ain't about what they did. Does anyone follow me? It ain't about what they did. It ain't about what they did. It ain't about the fact that even though your mom should know what you're going through because she went through the same shit you're going through now, then yet she has the audacity. She has the audacity to say, you'll get over it. You'll be fine. You just paying too much attention to it. all men are the same, or all women are the same, or all this or that. That's just life. That's just people. That's just men. That's just women. How is that supportive? Ay, Dios mío. It ain't about that. It ain't about that. It's not about what they did to you. It's not about how it went down. It's not about how hurt you still are to this day, even though it's been 10 years, 5 years, 4 years. You still haven't gotten over it. It ain't about that. It ain't about what you went through when you were 9 years old and it still lives in your memory bank like it went down yesterday, like it went down last week, like it went down last month. It ain't about that. Can I share with you what it really is about? Can I share with you what it really is about? May I share with you what it really is about? Thank you, your enlightened soul. Some sentient. Thank you. We're listening. The Hood Hippie. SBV.90 says, just tell us. Well, I don't know. For all I know, I could be wrong. And I'm always actually open to be wrong, contrary to what some of you might believe. But let me tell you something. Before I share with you what I'm about to lay in your heart, please know, I want you to know this in your soul. I want you to know this in your spirit. I want you to know this in your heart. In no way, shape, or form, allow this to be drilled into your head. In no way, shape, or form am I, with what I am about to share with you, the second part to that first statement. In no way, shape, or form are we attempting to dismiss. In no way, shape, or form are we attempting to diminish. In no way, shape, or form am I attempting to say that what your story is, what you've been through, and how things went down in your life was not important, or was not significant, or wasn't impactful, or wasn't hurtful, or wasn't traumatic, or wasn't devastating. Please don't hear that. Do not redress. Do not allow any part of you to redress the following statement with thinking that it means that we're attempting to dismiss or care less or devalue what you've been through, because this is definitely not the case. It's definitely not the case. But I want you to hear me out. Spirit said today to me, it's not about what they did. It's not about what they did. It's about what you are choosing to do with it. What are you choosing to do with it? It's not about what they did. It's about what you are choosing to do with it after the fact. You see, the betrayal already went down. The molestation already went down. The divorce already went down. The breakdown of that relationship already went down. The abandonment already went down. The sense of loss and numbness and whatever created the breakdown already went down. It already happened. There's nothing more to see. There's nothing more to know about what already went down. What is there for you to know? Oh, yeah. What is there about you to know? What is there more for you to know about someone that has been traumatizing you since day one? What more is there to know about that person and about that situation? What more is there to know about the fact that up until this point, maybe it will change tomorrow, but up until this point, what is there to know about the fact that your mother just does not have it in her to love you the way you wish she would? To validate you the way you wish she would? To embrace you and recognize you and acknowledge you the way you wish she would? What is there more to know about that? What is there more to know about the fact that the man that you decided to co-create a child with is an absent father? What more is there to know about that situation? What is there more to know about the fact that you have a sibling or family member that only remembers your name, your phone number, and address when they are in need, when they need money, when they need a place to stay, when they have a problem that they feel you can resolve? What is there more to know? Come on now. So, if I may, it boils down to what you are choosing to do with that information. What you are deciding to do with that experience, with that memory, with that trauma, with that pain, with that hurt. It's about what you are choosing to do with it. Somebody please ask me why. Someone please entertain me here for a little bit and ask me why. Curly Rose, Lavish Yana, the Hood Hippie, Nikki G's. Well, because so many of you can't heal. Is there anyone? Okay, you know I gotta go with the flow. Spirit takes me in, and it may sound like I could jump from here, from there to here, but we always tend to land where Spirit wants us to be at. So bear with me. How many of you in here right now in this moment could admit? How many of you in here right now are not shy to admitting that you've tried everything under the sky to heal so much from your past and you just have not been able to heal it, no matter what you do? And it's not always because you've gone to the wrong people, to the wrong counselor, to the wrong therapist, to the wrong Orisha priest, to the wrong Babalao, to the wrong Palero, to the wrong medium, to the wrong epiritista, to the wrong, best friend, to the wrong... But you just came to the wrong church, to the wrong mosque, to the, How many of you can admit that no matter what the fuck you've done, you can't seem to heal the ache, the pain, the experience? No matter how hard you try, okay, to uplift your life, something seems to always be weighing you down, holding you down. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your honesty. You want to know why? Your ego might reject this initially. It's okay. I'm not going to be mad. It ain't my business to be mad. It ain't my job to be mad or not be mad. It ain't my job. I'm just here to deliver. I'm just a messenger. Don't kill the messenger, as I always like to say. But let me tell you something. Whether it makes sense to you tonight, whether it doesn't make sense to you, whether you log off in the next minute because you don't like what I'm about to say, whether whatever it is, it will. I believe and I trust that if you give yourself the opportunity to sleep on it a little bit, It will make sense to you whenever it's supposed to make sense to you in your life. That being said, the reason you haven't healed is because of your perception. See, we have to understand the metaphysical aspect, the spiritual aspect, and the power of perception. A human being's perception, our perception as a human being, makes the difference of whether or not we are able to elevate, promote, uplift our life, or stay stuck. That is what will make the difference. Our perception of what we're going through, our perception of what we've been through, our perception of what's been done to us, our perception of how we feel, our perception of the people and the individuals and the spaces and places that hurt us. Our perception holds the key to making the difference between actually healing it or holding on to it. Reason being also is because many of us have done some aspect of the healing work. For example, you might be here and you might be someone in here. There might be someone in here that tells me, no, you know what, Avi, I don't agree with what you're saying right now because this person did this to me. It hurt me so deeply. It broke me and I decided to cut them all. I was able to cut them all. I haven't been in contact with them ever again in my life. And I still have not been able to heal that experience. And I will still tell you, it's a matter of your perception. It's your perception. It's your perception on that experience. It's your perception on that person. It's your perception on yourself. This is healing work here. This is healing work right here. It's your perception about yourself. What aspect of yourself? Okay. Your perception of who you think you are. Listen to me. Listen to this. Is heavy. This is heavy. This is heavy. This is heavy. Your perception of who you think you are based on what was done to you, based on your experience, based on your ache, based on your pain, based on the abandonment, based on the rape or molestation that you experienced when you were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and your perception of who you think you should be. Did you hear me? It's a matter of your perception of who you think you are after the fact, after the abuse, after the abandonment, after the divorce, after the separation, after 10 failed relationships, and your perception of who you think you should be. Usually, there can always be an exception. There are always exceptions. But usually, the perception of who you think you should be, you tend to attach that with other people that you see. Let me rephrase that. Usually, oftentimes, your perception of who you think you should be, had you not gone through that ache, had you not gone through that pain, had you not gone through that loss, had you not gone through that traumatic experience, it's usually based on someone else that you're seeing on social media, on TV, in a movie, someone else's life that you're comparing yourself to, a friend of yours or a classmate that you went to high school with. And they seem to be doing so great, so happy. They have the beautiful house with the white picket fence, the dog, the 3 kids, and the husband. And you're comparing yourself to that and you're asking yourself, why am I not there? Why am I not there? Especially since I know how she used to be in high school or how he used to be in high school. Why am I not there? Why am I not that blessed? Why am I not that lucky? So there is the existence of that comparison. It gets fed to you through social media every darn day. It gets fed to you through commercials. It gets fed to you through what your eyes see. But it's so interesting because my eyes can see whatever I think I'm seeing, but I do not live with that person. I'm not in that house. For all I know, what looks beautiful and perfect in a picture, they're the same two people that go to bed every night with their back faced to each other. Okay? So perception is a bitch. So Spirit says to us tonight, unless you are willing, hear me out, you all. If you're still here, hear me out. For those of you that are truly here, because we always have, it never fails. You always have the ones that just comes to gossip and comes to see. They don't really appreciate what you have to share, but they're just here to see. Don't worry about the people that just come to see, because that means that they still love you. Even though they claim to hate you, they still love you. Anyway, I digress. I guess my spirit is telling me someone is here that's just a real MF. But, if you're here because you love me, baby, you don't want to admit it to yourself, but you love me. You might as well put a picture in your bathroom. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I digress again twice. Your perception will make the difference of whether or not you're able to heal. It's your perception. You can heal because of your perception. You think that your candles are not effective. You think that your spiritual baths are not effective. You think that the person you're going to for guidance is not effective or helpful enough. You think that everything that you've done is not effective. What's not effective is your perception. Your perception is standing in the way of the effectiveness of everything else that you are attempting to do. Instead of receiving, looking for guidance on what ritual to do, what spiritual bath to do, what crystals to buy, instead of doing all that, you need support and guidance on being able to change your perception. Because that too is a bitch. Okay? It's about you needing support in laying the right foundation for you to be able to begin to reshape your perception. One of my clients, which I feel, she's a friend already, is a licensed therapist, and she was on here earlier. I don't know if she's still on here, Chris, and I always like to throw it out to people that I know are licensed professionals, because I like to always compare. I'm always willing to be wrong. And not only am I willing to be wrong, sometimes I do open it up to conversation from people that are on here that I know are good at what they do too, and they're professional. Is because maybe they can add on something else to what I'm getting this message spiritually. Okay? I'm getting this message spiritually. I'm getting this download spiritually, But there are professionals on here, licensed professionals, that might be able to agree, disagree, or add on to what I am attempting to convey. But so far, does this make sense to you? Does this make sense to you? So we started off with Spirit telling us it's not about what they did. It's not about what your mama did to you. It's not about what your ex did to you. It's not about what your husband and your current boyfriend and your current wife is doing to you. It's not about what it ain't only about what they did to you. It's about what they're doing to you now. It ain't about what they're doing to you now either. For those of you in here, which that applies to. It ain't about what they're doing to you now either. It's about what you choose to do with it. And what you choose to do with it depends upon your perception. That's our key word, perception. What is your perception on the situation that you're going through now or that you went through in the past? That even rhymes and everything. What is your perception over the situation that you're going through now or the situations that you went through in the past? What is your perception? You can't heal when your perception is off. Now, there's a third part to that. Can I share that with you? There's a third part to that. You want to hear it? As I shuffle here for our first oracle cards, I think I'm going to pick 2 oracle cards tonight. First part. Let me see if you all are really listening. What was the first part? What was the opening to our live tonight? What was the first part? It ain't about what they did. Yes. That was the first part. It ain't about what they did. Or it ain't about what they're doing. What was the second part? What's the second part to what Spirit has shared with us tonight? Perception. Yes. No, actually, perception is the third. The second part is it's about what you choose to do with it. It's about what you choose to do with it. That's our second part. First part is it ain't about what they did or it ain't about what they're doing to you. It's about what you are choosing to do with it. That's number 2. Number 3, what you're choosing to do with it is based on what? It's based on our perception of the situation. And the fourth part to that is just basically elaborating on the perception aspect. It's elaborating a little further on the perception. And it's basically a supportive why is it that our incorrect perception over the situation is what stands in the way of our ability to really heal over a past experience or something that we're going through now. Our perception, right? But why? Well, because Spirit says, are you ready for this? Spirit says that as long as we keep identifying with the people, with the person, with the place that hurt us, healing will never take place. As long as we continue to identify, if my identity is still attached mentally, emotionally, physically, and also spiritually. Ooh, that's a whole course right there. If my identity, if how I identify myself, if how I show up in the world is still attached to the people, to the place, to the memory of what was done to me or what I'm going through still now, healing cannot take place. True or not, Chris? I don't know if you're still on here. I hope you are. And because you keep identifying yourself with your mama, and because you keep identifying yourself with your ex, and because you keep identifying yourself with your baby daddy, and because you keep identifying yourself with your former best friend, and because you keep identifying yourself with the people that have abused you and traumatized you and has done all kinds of sort of shits to you, healing cannot take place. It won't. Here you are. Oh, I'm talking. She says I'm talking. Do you hear me? Does anyone hear me? I feel that let me tell you something. I feel that right there, what we've spoken about thus far, I feel it's so deep. I can just get away with pulling an oracle card and calling it a night. You know why? You know why? Because I can sit here and say, oh, Gemini, you got the Lover's card. Oh, Scorpio, you got the Five of Wands. Oh, Libra, you got the Four of Pentacles. You need to be a little more open-minded about that business idea, about this, about that, about whatever. Oh, the Lover's card or the Five of Wands. You need to stop inner fighting with yourself. Blah, 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 blah. All of it, I try to be as authentic as possible with whatever messages I've received when I pull a tarot card. But at the end of the day, Spirit also is telling you tonight, here right now in the clear, it ain't going to do jack shit for you unless we truthfully intake, process, and work through what I've just shared with you for the past, almost an hour now. It just won't do anything for you. It won't do anything for you. It won't do anything for you. It won't. It won't. If I'm honest, it won't do shit for you. It'll just be another week of pulling another tarot card for you, but you're not really addressing. And let me rephrase that, because in reality, it ain't for you. It's for the collective, right? And everything doesn't always applies to everyone. We've made that very clear. I've always stated this since day number 1 for however long I've been doing Tarot Tuesdays. This is a collective read. It ain't a personal read. It just happens to be that a lot of the times it really falls on a very personal level to many of you. And if that's the case, then Spirit is able to support you. And the reason I continue to do Tarot Tuesdays is because so many of you claim that it's actually helped you, it's actually supported you, it's actually, guided you through the week, through the month, through the situation that you're going through. That's the only reason why I continue to do it. But the reality is that whatever card comes up for your particular sun sign or rising sign or moon sign, the truth is that it ain't gonna do shit for you unless you understand the fact that you have to redefine your perception. And you have to do some deep, deep inner healing work. And the fact that the inner healing work has been interfered with your perception. Your perception. So I can sit here every Tuesday and pull a card for you. The collective sun sign, the collective moon sign, the collective rising sign. But it ain't going to do crap for you. And I feel the need to even go as far as to say if you know you need the guidance, if you know you need the help, if you know you need the support, because everything you've tried under the sky simply has not worked, then you need to really find someone. I ain't trying to pull you to my corner, but you need to find someone that can support you, guide you, and help you break through the chains that are holding you back. Because there's only so much. Chris says, I don't agree. You open up pathways to new ways of thinking. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much, beloved. But you know, it's really that. I feel that this particular Tarot Tuesday opening is significant. I can literally create a whole shadow work course on this particular topic that Spirit has shared with us tonight. Like, seriously. So it is imperative that you really ponder on this, and that you really take the time to understand how our psyche works. And oftentimes we need support for that. We can't do it by ourselves. Okay? I have a godchild of mine. It's been a godchild of mine for 10 years, 12, 13 years now. And this particular godchild of mine, obviously knows the kind of healing work that I do and what I offer to the public, which has nothing to do with what I do in the intimacy of my spiritual religious work within my spiritual religious my spiritual religious house, But she recommends people to me, whether it's for my, not just for a reading, right? Not that, but for my actual work that I do with couples, or marriage counseling and what have you. And I actually call it marriage spiritual counseling because I'm not a licensed professional. And I found that, and she also states that she'll say something to the people, whoever she's recommending. She'll usually say something like, you should really give him a try, because at least spiritually, you'll be able to go through the gutting. I feel that that's what Spirit does for us. Spirit does the gutting. It guts out what's beneath the surface. It guts out what we intentionally or unintentionally ignore. It guts out. It brings it to the surface, right there in your face for you to see. This is the shit you're going through, and this is the shit you gotta work through. So that then, as she has also said, you can then take this information and then go to a professional licensed person that has other knowledge, other techniques that I don't, other ways of working through those things, because at least you can already arrive at that therapist or at that counselor, licensed professional, with I know what my shit is, and this is what I have to work through. Because I've recognized it, I accept it now, I know that this is what's going on, and this is what I have to go through, and this is what I'm going through. So that then the licensed professional can really, someone that's a good fit, a good match for you, can really walk you through different ways of healing that particular situation. So I do believe it. I do believe wholeheartedly that this level of spiritual work really helps us go through the gutting. It helps us go through the gutting of really unearthing, lifting up to the surface the shit that hides in the background, and the things that we either fail to address, don't want to address, ignore, attempt to control, attempt to manipulate, Spirit will hand it to you. Spirit will hand your ass in a platter. Okay? With every single bone in it. So then once you deal with that, and then you're like, shit, okay, fine, damn, this is the kind of crap, I'm in. Then you can actually take that to a licensed professional, that have other experiences and have other things that I don't, to really help you. Chris says, absolutely. So many clients referred to you. Oh, thank you. I know you do. Chris is a licensed professional, and she definitely refers clients to me as well. Thank you so very much. And so many of you do too. So I appreciate each and every one of you. But yeah, spiritual work is real. It ain't for games. Okay. So that being said, what's coming up? Says T. Soluna, Tsunami says, I've realized how some are just subconsciously attached to that wounded version of themselves, old narratives. I'm moving out of that. I'm glad. I'm happy. I'm happy that you're moving out of that. That is definitely true. That is the perception aspect of it, the Spirit was saying earlier. Our perception could have us still attached, to that experience, to those people, to that trauma, to that event, to that loss. And because we're still attached to that event, and this is the thing, we can be attached to it not just consciously, but we can also be attached to it subconsciously. Oftentimes it's these subconscious work that we need to do as well. And then the spiritual, for me, in my line of work, in my line of healing work, as an ancestral healer, as a spiritist, as a spiritual healer, it's very important. Why? Because so much of it can be defined by looking at the history of our DNA, our history of our family, our history of our upbringing, the history of how your own parents were raised, the history of how your grandparents were raised. And a lot of these people are deceased. A lot of the people, I'm getting chills and I don't even know why. A lot of the people, with what I'm about to say, I thought about it and it gave me chills and I'm about to say it out loud. A lot of the people that hurt you, oh my God. Woo! A lot of the people that have hurt you have been hurt by people that are already dead. Okay? A lot of the people, if not the vast majority of the people that you've been hurt by, they themselves have been hurt by people that have been dead, that are dead. Or a lot of the people that you have been hurt by have been hurt by other people who were hurt by other people that are already dead. So the spiritual is very important because it builds the puzzle. It brings the picture into full view. It unearths things that you may not know, but when Spirit tells you in a reading, then you can go and cross-reference that, and you can ask, the grandmother's still alive, the uncle is still alive, the auntie is still alive, your mom, your dad, whoever, and you can be like, oh shit, yeah. Because then spiritual work needs to be done around that. So that situation doesn't continue to hover over your lineage, over your own children, and your children's children for a lifetime to come. Because who can live like that? Who can live like that, right? Anyway, let's move on. As we're picking up here these oracle cards, I think the only other day that I have open for readings and sessions this week is this coming Thursday. There should be some slots still available. Feel free to click the link in my bio to check out the offerings. Feel free to click the link in my bio, okay? To see if there's a time slot that fits your schedule. You're welcome, Justifier. Blessings to you. And maybe we can get together and see how Spirit guides you. Okay. Also, I almost don't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it. I don't like to jump the gun too soon. But I think I'm gonna say it. I think Spirit's giving me a green light to say it. I think. Guess what, you all? Let me see first. Ugh. Blah. Setting sun. Let's see what the author of this particular oracle card that I haven't used in a while says about the setting sun. Page 83. 83. Okay. Guess what, you all? And this one is the prophet. Okay. Yeah, all Lord is right. Your boy here. So I want to say it. Okay, I'll say it. My tarot deck is almost completed. My tarot deck is almost completed. Now, this particular tarot deck, initially when I started creating it, when I was in the process of getting it created, I was just going to have it for me, just for me. I was going to use it for me. But Spirit has prompted me to the possibility that some of you all might want my tarot deck. Some of you all might want my... Grab my phone over here. Some of you all might want my tarot deck. And if that's the case, it might be up for sale. I might do pre-orders. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. How many of you are willing? You're so funny, Chris. Look at that. I don't know if you can actually see it. Yep. 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 Let me see. Everybody's now saying, I want it, I want it. Let me see how many of you are going to really want it if I do decide to put it up there, out there. Yep. 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 So that's that. I'm now creating the I'm now creating the booklet for it, with not just my knowledge of traditional definitions of these cards, but also my own personal definition of it based on the downloads that guided how can we call this, based on my downloads which guided the aesthetics, the scenery, the art that guided the art of these particular cards. my intake of that. So yeah, that's that. That's almost done. So yeah, for those of you claiming that you might want it, send me a DM so I can put you on the list. I shall put you on the list. I might create a pre-sale, and we'll see. Thank you so very much, you all. Thank you for your support and your love. Most importantly, your love. So the first oracle card says the setting sun. Ouch. The setting sun. Depression, habits, suffering. Depression, habits, and suffering. Okay. Black Rican priced. I haven't priced it yet. It's kind of hard because there's always been a difficult department for me. You know, according to people that know me, you know, my wife being number one and you know, some of my godchildren, you know, they always say I don't price things correctly. They think I undersell things. So a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of energy, authentic energy has been put into it, you know, so I don't know, might be $1 a card. So I don't know. I don't know. I got to think about that. I got to really think about that. Depression, habits, and suffering. Okay. Suffering begins to dissolve when we can question the belief or the hope that there's anywhere to hide. A quote from Pema Chodron. And it states that this particular card's author's meaning is, the setting sun is the notion of eternal unhappiness. In a world that has been seduced by capitalism, greed, and selfishness, it is no wonder we find happiness so elusive. We often tell ourselves, if I just had more, fill in the blank, I could be happy. That is the setting sun mentality. Lurking in the shadows of the setting sun, we can often find the demons of want, ignorance, addiction, and fear. Setting sun mentality focuses on the dying light in the world. It cleverly disguises instant gratification and material possessions as joy and happiness. Its delusions and lies perpetuate an endless cycle of coveting, emptiness, and overindulgence. When we live our lives in the dying light of the setting sun, we become convinced that there is no hope, light, or justice. Pain and misery are all we can see. And out of sheer panic and fear, we will step on and trample each other to get to the next thing that we're told will finally make us happy. When this card makes its way into a spread, it is calling us to banish the setting sun mentality. To grow, we must purge the materialism and habitual tendencies we've embodied in our lives. When we are willing to reject self-indulgence and selfishness and instead embrace self-love and self-awareness, we are one step closer to the glow of joy, the enlightenment that await just beyond the shadows of the setting sun. That was deep. And our other oracle card for tonight is the Prophet. And it says, humanity has always been drawn in by symbols. They stick with us, creating a language of their own. Beware of high tide. Skip the 13th floor. Toss salt over a shoulder. The prophet knows the value of these signs. They appear subtle, whispering small curses and boons to those who listen. The prophet knows where to look for these signs, both in the external and internal worlds. She befriends the snake. She takes on an otherworldly air. She has a pearl of profound wisdom from which you can learn when you are ready to ask and receive. When you are ready to ask and receive. Meanings, follow the signs you are receiving. Listen to the voices inside you. Okay. Well. So on point with your point. Yes, very much so. All things distract from unhealthy perception. Yes. Yes. I know, right? What a start. What a start. You know, parts of me says that our opening for tonight is good enough to call it a night. Doesn't always happen like that. Hardly ever. I think it's only been one or twice in the history of my Tarot Tuesdays where the opening has been so hot that Spirit says, there's nothing more to say. I'm done. And even though I kind of sort of feel like that right now, because I think our opening tonight has really laid down an understanding or a foundation that we need to start working from. Because indeed, nothing else that comes up right now will benefit you at all whatsoever, even when you feel it directly applies to you, unless you really put into practice the advice, the counsel, Spirit's counsel with our opening here tonight. It's not about what they did, or it's not about what they're doing to you right now. It's about what you choose to do with it. And what you choose to do with it is based upon your perception of it. And your perception of it taints, molds your ability to heal. Why? Because if your perception of the issues and situations and experiences that you've been through in your life is still attached mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically to the people and places that hurt you, then healing will never take place. That shit is deep. It's deep.